I'm Jordan.
And I'm Kara.
And welcome to Table Talk this week. This week we are talking about Hannah Montana. What did you think?
Well, what I think is not that important because Joel McHale on The Soup stole my blog from earlier this week about how no longer is it, if you're a fan of The Soup, you know, it's Miley! Now it's Britney, bitch. And I think that really summed it up.
Well, let's go to the clip.
The world premiere stupefying performance of Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA. Said stupefying performance featured a prop trailer home, Miley short shorts, and a stripper pole. Yes, a stripper pole.
With a dream in my cardigan. I'm nodding my head like yeah. I'm moving my hips like yeah. Get to the club in my taxi cab. Everybody's looking at me now.
Yeah. Way to go, Daddy's girl. Yeah, the next million is coming in dollar bills. Yeah. She's 16. Yeah. So to sum up, goodbye.
It's Miley!
Hello.
It's Britney, bitch.
So really, this was the thesis of a blog that I wrote earlier this week for Women in Media News at WIMN.org that really talked about how sort of Miley Cyrus's transition into this creepy sort of sexualized childhood, pseudo-adulthood, really rings of Britney Spears.
And you really have to ask, you know, where are the parents? Because this is an underage person that we're talking about right now.
Well, you really don't have to ask where are the parents because we actually see right after Miley Cyrus's performance, the Teen Choice Awards, her father and mother applauding. A little uncomfortably, I think, which I think is perfectly warranted, but you would think that one would have thought that through before co-conceiving a performance with a stripper pole with their 16-year-old daughter.
I actually think that the awkward performance was because of how badly she sounded and how poorly she sung, rather than the fact that, you know, like, why couldn't we have her lip sync like we normally do, rather than the fact that they had just sexualized a 16-year-old girl. And, you know, not to mention the pictures that come out afterwards are of her 9-year-old sister, who was also, like, you know, emulating you know, sort of leaning on this stripper pole. I mean, this is really the problem. Miley Cyrus's audience is not her age. It's not even a little bit older than her. It's much younger than her. So you have an underage person being emulated by even more underage people, and they're being sexualized not in adult ways, but sexualizing their childhood. So what were they standing on? An ice cream truck. I mean, what better, you know, and what was around them? There were teenagers in booty shorts and cut-off shirts. So you're not having an adult conversation about sexuality. You're sexualizing children. I mean, it's essentially just tween childhood pornography, and that's really what I think has really hit at the nerve of so many people who have reacted to it, especially adults who see, you know, the sort of see To Catch a Predator and wonder what is going on. Where are the values?
But ultimately, what I thought is that it's really irresponsible of her adult handlers, considering that her fan base starts at like 5, to put a stripper pole in her performance.
My cousin, who's about 10, actually, you know, wants to be Miley Cyrus someday, or Hannah Montana. I mean, we don't know many young girls who don't. I mean, then that's the problem of it.
Absolutely. And I think that really, you know, with the younger sister too, I mean, the pictures were taken backstage at a pre-party, I think, and there's video of it also. And obviously, I mean, the dancing, I think mostly the dancing around the pole of the younger children is very innocent. It's sort of like, you know, like you would when you were a little kid, like play with like a pole in the middle of a room at a rec hall or something. But the fact is, these girls clearly, even in like sort of some of them like sort of sashay their hips a little, they know what this is. And there's all these adults sitting around drinking alcohol and sort of just watching these 9-year-olds perform for them. And even if they aren't taking off their clothes, there's something really disturbing about that. And there's sort of this performative aspect, even in the pictures that surfaced afterwards, that I'm under the impression were released. That are really they're children, but the fact that you're posing with a stripper pole, there's something really performative and awkward and uncomfortable about that.
I think that really, when we think about the future in corporate media, we really need to think about what are the values that they're forcing us to internalize? What are the values that they're taking out? Of course, throughout time, boy bands and younger people have sort of had a hidden sexuality, but when they're skewing their audiences so much younger, and when the target is so much younger, and and the access to other things and other creativity and better music is so few and far between. What are the values that they're picking up? And I can tell you in the experience of my cousin, she's picking up a sexualization at a very dangerous age, a very dangerous young age.
Absolutely. And I think really, I hate to bring it back to the Britney Spears thing, but I think it's so, and I hate to make somebody's, and I said this in my piece that I wrote earlier this week, I hate to make someone's life a story learned or lesson learned, but if we see how Britney Spears has been so damaged by this forced sexuality, and got married so young, had children so young, and now is having to claw her way back to having a normal life, why would you put your own 16-year-old daughter through this? And then we have Jamie Lynn Spears, who had a kid at 16. Now you have this 9-year-old playing on a stripper pole, and I just don't with such clear illustrations of how this adult conceived sexuality can be damaging to young people, why you would follow suit is baffling to me.
Well, that's it for Table Talk. Go read the article online. It's at women.org, WIMN.org, and we'll see you next week.